Imagine yourself to the journey of exciting new places. It could be the pyramids of Egypt or the beaches of Hawaii. Today we can hop on the plane to travel long distances. This was simply a dream at one time. Travel from one place to another took a very long time because it was usually done by train or boat. On 17th December 1903, a plane was ready to take off. This is what happened in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. When Orwelly and Wilbur Wright, known as Wright brothers, tested their flying machine. The Wright brothers had finished their design of the propeller airplane, a kind of plane that used spinning wings to fly. In the year 1917, Junkers built the first all-metal plane. The metal was the lightweight aluminium. On 1st January 1969, Boeing 747 conducted its first flight. It is a wide-bodied commercial airline. It was the most successful airline ever made. The Airbus A380 is a wide-bodied aircraft manufactured by Airbus. It is the world's largest passenger airline. In earlier times, people used stone and metal cookware and utensils for making food and eating it. There was no kermes and stainless steel utensils. They generally used copper and bronze utensils for preparing food. Since metal cookware was used on open flame, curtain features were added to help people use and prevent food burning. Steam pots, kettles, scotch bowls were used. This is a jar can store water. This is a kadhai which we prepare food, and this is a utensil which stores food, and this is a thali which we eat in food, and this is a bucket which we use to store water and taking. Now I will tell you about some old utensils. This is a jar which is used to store water, and it is made out of copper. And people use this jar to store water in it. This is a kadhai which they use to prepare food, and it is made out of copper. People use to cook vegetables in this kadhai. This is a bucket which is used to store water and taking bath. This bucket to fill the water from the well. And this is made about of bronze, which is made about of brass, and used to eat food in this thali. On evolution of currency. Friends, the introduction of money as a medium of exchange was one of the greatest inventions of mankind. Before money was invented, exchange took place by barter system. That means commodities and services were directly exchanged for commodities and services. For instance, a farmer may exchange wheat, rice or pulses for a from a cobbler. In view of certain disadvantages of barter system, precious metals like gold and silver and later on metal coins came into use as money. It is widely believed that Greeks were the first people to make coins which could be easily counted. In view of certain drawbacks in metal coins, paper currency came into the picture. The first paper currency was the banknote developed by goldsmith bankers in the second half of the 17th century. Next stage in development of money has been the use of bank deposit as money. Notes and coins were replaced by checks for high-value transactions. Due to corruption and some unfair practices using paper currency, the plastic money, that is, debit and credit cards, were introduced. ATM machine accept these cards and it is better substitute for paper money. Recently, electronic money has been introduced wherein the payments are made online by using net banking, login ID and password. Transactions are performed by using computers and smartphones easily. To summarize the evolution of currency, we can see that we have come long way from barter system to the newly aged electronic money, which is very convenient to people. History of clocks. In ancient times, people used to use the sun clocks at 700 BC. Then, after some years, they used to use our clock at 18th century AD. Then, after some years again, they used to use pendulum clocks at 18th and 19th centuries. Later, they used to use mechanical clocks at 1656. My topic is cookware. Cookware is a type of food preparation containers commonly found in a kitchen. Cookware consists of cooking vessels. Cooking utensils are typically referred as pans and pots. Here are some examples of cookware: aluminum, brass, cast iron, stainless steel and non-stick. In olden days, people used iron to cook food and brass for cooking, and in nowadays people use aluminum, steel and brass and non-stick for cooking.
On the topic History of Toys. History means past events or study of past events of toys. A toy is an item for playing. All the infants, kids and all the children loves to play with the toys. The origin of the toy is prehistory, but it is believed that it was first used in 14th century. These are the oldest toys. First there were sticks, means wooden sticks. Then marbles, then stones, and now we have latest toys. As time passed, a lot more changes and innovation came in making of toys. There were some small factories started making little toys for children, such as plastic cars and dolls and wooden animals, balls, spinning toys, etc. Let me show you. This is the plastic car. This is the small like spinning toy. This is something we top like that. And these are all the toys. From above picture, we can see that kids also played with the toys like dolls, toy, soldiers, wooden balls, and animals. As time changes and we are powered by new technology used to make toys and very attractive and use-friendly toys came in market. Some examples are Barbie dolls, soft toys, and puzzles. Even nowadays, we can see many kids playing with mind games. In fact, children today prefer more educational toys. Let me show you. This is the first toy that were the marbles.
History of airplanes. As we all know that the first powered airplane was made by the two twin brothers, Wilbur and Orville Wright. The airplane bird just started getting bigger and better. In 1911, a Kiwi aviator named George Bolt launched a glider and took aerial photos of New Zealand. Bessie Coleman was the first African-American to gain a pilot's license. The first passenger plane service took off between St. Petersburg to Florida. In 1930, flight attendants were introduced to make flying more safe and comfortable. By that time, the airplanes were soundproof and they could fly up till 20,000 feet. In 1960s and the 70s, jumbo jets and airliners were introduced, which made flying a little cheaper and more passengers could fly. Till 1980s till date, Boeing and Airbus have been the leading two companies which have been modernizing our aircraft. Did you know the first international aircraft from India took off from Mumbai on 8th June 1948? Here are some miniatures by us and Airbuses by Airbus. This is a single engine glider. This is a DC Douglas aircraft. This is a Boeing 747 series. And this is the biggest bird of all, Airbus 380A.
Evaluation of shelter. Firstly, what is shelter? It is a place which gives us protection or safe place to live. It is provide a sense of security and well-being. This is also known as houses. Have you ever imagined that these amazing houses which we see would happen? For sure, these were not built in a day. This evolved across many years. In about 25,000 years ago, this was the first Stone Age when humans lived by their hunting for foods to survive. In this Stone Age, they used the natural environment like natural caves to offer them shelter, as humans didn't know how to construct houses. As years passed, humans started making tents to build their houses using tree branches, stone, animal skin and animal bones. These animal bones or rocks were used for foundation of these houses, and animal skin or tree branches to cover the houses like roofs and so. Eventually, about 400 years, humans learned farming for their survival. Hence they started making houses via mud, stone, wood and tree branches. These were known as huts. Later, many developments happened due to technology as houses started having pillars, windows, etc. Better materials like stone, bricks, wood and mud, clay, etc. were used to build houses. Later, the steel and glasses were introduced to build the houses. And this brings us to today's era for kinds of houses we live in. These houses are built by cement, brick, steel and glasses. We now have modern buildings, bungalows as our house. Hence, these are the evolution of shelter happened.
History of gaming. What is game? A game is an activity which involves skill, knowledge. It has some fixed rule and try to win against an opponent or to solve a puzzle. What is history of Indian game? A history of Indian game is believed to be 8,000 years old. In the time of Vedics, the man got complicated with each other to get the status and honor and to win. Ancient history of Indian game. Chaturanga, Gulli Danda, egg carry, hunting, horse riding, chariot riding and pelwan. Now we have moved to types of game, indoor and outdoor. Indoor games are played inside the house is called indoor game. Goti, hopping and turning, top, thread rope and gulli danda, hide and seek, snake game, chess and carom. Now we have moved to mobile games. Nowadays, mobile games are very much popular because they are very much entertainment and it doesn't waste our time and we have fun. Now we have moved to outdoor games. Outdoor games are played outside the house is called outdoor games like cricket, badminton, football, kabaddi, hockey, boxing, evolution of cookware. After the invention of fire and spices in ancient times, cavemen used the shells of turtles as cooking pots. In 7000 BC, they started to use large stone balls and then comes the clay pots like these. The developments of pottery discovered fireproof cooking pots and later ceramic glasses started like these. By 17th century, it was common for Western kitchen to contain number of baking pans, kettles and several pots like these. This is brass and this is copper. Improvement of metallurgy during 19th and 20th centuries allowed it for pots and pans from metals such as steel, stainless steel and aluminum like these. This is steel and this is steel and this is aluminum. 21st century evolution of glass cookware take places like these. The very first camera was room size with space for one or more people inside. These gradually evolved into more and more compact models. This is my model of camera obscura. In real, it was the size of a room. A pinhole camera is a simple camera without a lens but with a tiny pinhole invented by Ibn al-Haytham in the 11th century. It has effectively a light-proof box with a small hole in one side. I have sealed the other side with butter paper.
3.
You can see the inverted image of the flame of the candle, which is known as camera obscura effect. Best example of Polaroid camera is Fujifilm. Let me show you how to use it. The Instax Mini 8 is straightforward to use, making it a great choice for kids. Simply press the button next to the lens to pop it out. It switches the camera on, and hit the shutter button by the viewfinder to take an instant photo. This is how it looks after it has come out from the camera. In 2 to 3 minutes, it will get developed. I clicked the photo of this vase and look how nice it looks. It's very nice and clear. This is how the photo will look after it has been developed. Here is the working model of a digital camera. I can on and off the camera using this button. I can zoom in or zoom out using this dial. I can change a few of the modes here. I can either view through the viewfinder or I can see through the digital screen. I can click a photo using this button. If I don't like the photo, I can delete the old one and click a new one again.
My project is Evolution of Cookware. Let's start from the ancient age. Earthenware pottery was the first step in the evolution of cookware. The Egyptians, Greeks, Romans and Indians are first to use clay pottery. This is the example of a clay pottery and these are the examples of earthenware pottery. Today I chose to make a clay pottery. This is my clay pottery. I have made it with the help of this pottery wheel. The evolution of cookware enters a new age, that is metalware. Copper and brass, these two are the first metal used by mankind of ancient civilization. However, iron came at a later stage than copper and brass. Then came aluminium and steel, which are cheaper in cost. All these materials are easy to use in cooking. These are some examples of metalware. This is copper, this is brass, and this is cast iron, and this is steel. We enter the modern age of crockeries now. This started with the Victorian era. People started using cookware made of ceramics, heavy glass like borosils and bone china, etc. These are the examples of glass crockery. This is ceramic, this is bone china, and this is borosil. These are easy to get warmed up in microwave ovens. These cookware help to retain the foodware and keep humankind
olden days, people live in caves. Caves are made of cutting rocks. Then they started making of grass house. Grass house is also called as hut. Grass house is made of bamboo and grass. Then they made mud house. Mud house is made of mud. As the technology improved, the human beings get intelligent. So they investigated stone house. Stone house is made of cement and stones. Then they started to make buildings. High buildings are especially seen in cities. They used to live in caves where there were floods. People went to live on mountain tops to seek shelter. A cave is a natural underground hollow space. Caves still provide shelter for trekkers. Then people started living in huts on ground. Huts were made from branches and leaves of trees, grass, palm leaves, wood, etc. Hut is a small and temporary dwelling of simple constructions. Huts are usually found in village areas or in areas with low economic development. Huts are also known as kacha house as they are very weak. But hut did not protect them from heavy rain. So people made houses with stones and mud. Nowadays houses are built with cement. They are much stronger. We see many such buildings in big cities. Technology kept improving and houses kept improving, and that brings us to the kind of houses we have today in the world, made of cement, bricks, glass and steel.
The evolution of shelter. This is a cave. I made it using a balloon and some newspaper.
And innovations to make life better for themselves. The evolution of human shelter is spectacular and worth it traveling back to know about this stupendous journey. The shelter is one of the fundamental requirements for every human being along with food and clothing. It protects human beings from wild animals, natural disasters and climatic changes. So hence humans need shelter to feel protected. In different phases of human life, there are different types of shelter. The history of human life is traced to the primitive age. People during this period lived in caves like this one to protect themselves. It was the only form of shelter to humans then. Then slowly, gradually, they started building houses made out of grass and wood. These houses were called grass houses as this one. Going ahead, there have been many changes. In today's era, people live in huge buildings like this one made out of steel, concrete and glass. House design and construction for one's shelter has reached a new level in today's time. Thank you.
My topic is History of Cookware.
Primitive man used sharp and round stone for cooking and grinding. As stone cooking required large amount of labor.
It was
Changes
replaced earthen
in earthen pots. Later, earthen pots were replaced by ceramic. Because ceramic was not used on stove, it was replaced by metal. Later, steel were popular. Then they are use of glassware. Later, microwave plaster were used. Today, non-stick is used. Evolution of shelters. So, do you know why we need shelter? A shelter can protect us from natural disasters, wild animals, climate factors such as rain, wind, snow, and heat. In the earliest prehistoric age, when man didn't need to build shelters, they made use of natural environment to provide them with shelter. The earliest form of shelter were living in trees. It provided minimal protection from the scaring heat of the sun and the cold of the rain. Another natural form was caves, which provided greater protection. The first man-made shelter was known to be made out of dry tree branches and stones. Men used clay dry tree branches to build houses. Slowly and gradually, man learned new ways to build shelters, so the concrete houses were built with bricks and slabs. We humans are intelligent. As the decades passed, with help of technology, modern architecture, they built skyscrapers with all modern amenities under one roof. Men started more using iron rods, concrete, and glass to give these structures a modern look. Now I will explain how I made these. This cave is made out of newspaper crumble balls stick together with Fevicol. I added napkin paper and painted it with glue and red stands. This hut is made out full of cardboard, and this is a broom hair I stick you instead of dry tree branches. This is made all of cardboard, and this syntax is made out of cardboard. This building is made out of a shoebox. I cut these windows and stick these balconies together.
History of rockets. So what are rockets? Rockets are vehicles that carry satellites and space shuttles into space. The first rockets were invented by Song Dynasty in China while using gunpowder. A firework was filled with gunpowder and was attached to an arrow, which was later launched. This is how world's first rockets were invented. Friends, now I am going to show you how to make the model of the ancient Chinese rockets. I have a chart paper in cylindrical shape, one in cone shape, a Fevicol, bunch of ice cream sticks, and some wool. First, I will stick these ice cream sticks one on another.
will attach this cylindrical shaped paper to this cone shaped paper. I will stick this ice cream sticks with this paper. You have to just stick some wool and voila, your rocket is ready. This part, which is the arrow, works like the rocket, and this firework, which is filled with gunpowder, works like the satellite. These are the rockets of the world, from the earliest to the most advanced. I am going to make the model of ISRO's GSLV Mark III. To make this, you require Fevicol, chart paper and sketch pen. To stick these small boosters to this cone, you have to stick these boosters to this rocket. Now I have done the finishing work of the rocket GSLV Mark III. I have wrote some words here and I have drawn the Indian national flag. Now this is the end of my project. Thanks for watching.
Man has evolved over the years. As a result, his brain kept on developing and he kept on making new inventions. Shelter. Around 12,000 years ago, the earth had more frozen mountains and continents than it has now. This was the time when it was called the Ice Age. Humans which lived at this time were nomadic hunter-gatherers. They had to protect themselves from a lot of difficulties like the cold, wind, dangerous animals. All had to be taken care of. They needed a safe place to live in without being killed. They found one. Natural caves or made for themselves mammoth hide tents. They used the thick skin of the mammoths as roofs and used stones or bones for the support of the tents. Eventually, after 4,000 years later, man figured out how to farm. And if they sowed crops, they had to wait for a season to harvest them, to look after their crops, to not worry about their wild animals or weather. One of the first ever human civilizations, called Sumer, arose today in Iraq. The people over there believed that the king was the bridge between the god and the people. So the kings, nobles, merchants lived in big and lavish houses, and the poor lived in small little huts. The ancient Egyptians used sun-dried clay bricks for flat-topped houses. They used the materials like wood and sun-dried clay bricks for their houses. After humans developed technology, the first storage areas were to keep grains and oil, the first doors and windows to let in light, air, sun in. Then people started using better and better technology like steel, wood, sand and stone. Then even people started using steel to manufacture their buildings. Around 600 years ago, we invented something which changed the way houses were built. As we invented glass, which was used extensively in building. Technology came to improving, houses came to improving. So then that brings us to the houses that we have today, made of cement, bricks, glass, and steel mainly. All the houses that we see today just did not come up in one day.
Evolutions of phones. Did you know the first phone was invented in 1876 by Alexander Graham Bell? The first phone did not have any dial, even numbers. People used to call operator for help to make calls. During 1930, phone included dial with numbers. It made much easier to make phone calls. During 1960, a push-button number pad was introduced. These kinds of phones still relied on cords and wires. In 1980s, the first phone without cords and wire was invented. This invention was life-changing for our world because people can walk around their home and talk on phone. Cell phone became common during 1990s. The first cell phone was called flip phone as user had to flip and use like this. Telephones today are more advanced than ever before. We can browse on our phones, we can chat by giving messages, and we can give voice command like this. Open YouTube.
Opening YouTube.
See, it has opened. I'm wondering, how will be the future
Of telephones. Telephone is a wonderful invention. It is used to communicate with friends and family. Alexander Graham Bell, a US scientist, invented the first telephone in 1876. The word telephone comes from Greek word. Tele means far and phone means sound. Within 20 years of telephone was notified by Thomas Edison, Thomas Watson and Emil Pioneer, etc. In early 17th century, shrine telephones were invented. These telephones were familiar in children's and then later used to refer to megaphones and speaking. This is telephone with wires. These are anti-pack phones. This is transmit to speak, receive to hear, dial and keypad to type number and ringer. These are wireless phones. These are also called as cordless. These phones are then used at home. As time passed, revolutionary change took in telephones. Mobile phones, also known as cell phones, were invented. Bosch's first cell phone was invented by Martin Cooper of Motorola Company in 1973. With this phone, we can make only calls and send text messages only. Later, smartphones and iPhones were invented. With those phones, we can not only make calls but also make access to internet, make banking transactions, online shopping and make payments. Today, telephones and mobiles is an essential product and plays an important role in our day-to-day life and help in connecting social.
Kitchenware, which includes Stone Age era chula, kerosene burner, gas stove, microwave. First is Stone Age era, which was there in 16,500 BC. Fragments of clay container used in food preparation, as the site may be 16,500 years old. Stone Age food varied over time and from region to region, but included the food typical of hunter-gatherers: meat, fish, eggs, grasses, tubers, fruits, vegetables, seeds and nuts. Second is chula, which was in year 1800. Chula is a traditional Indian cooking stove used for indoor cooking. Chula is U-shaped mud stove
made from local clay. After the formation of clay is completed, it is finished by covering it with coat of clay and the mixture of cow dung. The thickness of wall is not as important as the dimension of the fireside are. Third is kerosene burner, which was in year 1892. The primer stove, the first pressurized burner kerosene stove, was developed in 1892 by Franz Wilhelm Lindquist, a factory mechanic at Stockholm. On pressurized stove, cooking is fast. Heat is easy to control. On pressurized burner may be very clean burning. It is an alternative backup technology for urban electrical user in case of power cuts. Kerosene is an exhaustible resource, which time stoves can explode because the tank may be heated up when it is used for a long time and also create air pollution and ill health. Fourth is gas stove, which was in year 1920. Gas stove is a stove that is fueled by combustion gas such as syngas, natural gas, butane, propane, etc. The gas stove was introduced all over in 1920. Cooking with gas is cheapest way than electrical cooking. The heat supply can be adjusted precisely. Though cleaning becomes difficult due to pan supports and burners, you cook with open flame and therefore cooking with gas is not the safest way. Fifth is microwave, which was invented in year 1955. Microwave oven is form of electromagnetic radiations and wavelengths ranging from 1 meter to 1 millimeter. The main advantage of using microwave oven is it takes less time to heat food, which is suitable for our busy lives. The disadvantage of microwave oven is the radiation leakage when the oven gets damaged.
Today I am telling you about the history of mobile phone. Everyone knows that the mobile phone is the used device. Everyone used mobile phone for their purposes such as music, dance, creativities, YouTube videos, MX TikTok, etc. Mobile phones were invented by Martin Cooper. Martin Cooper was the first person to make the mobile phone. Martin Cooper made the mobile phone because Martin Cooper wants the people to talk freely, to talk away from their cars. Mobile phones were invented. The first mobile phone is the mobile phone to only talk on the mobile phone. The IMN Simon is the first mobile phone to use to be the first smartphone. Mobile phone were used for many things for doing, such as we can make both things with uses of mobile phone. Thank you.
History of grinding machine. Let's check how it happens. Earlier there were such options to grind spices at home. Let's try some ginger garlic paste. Now we will try to crush some green chili. Let's try making flour with some grains. Oof, it is so tough. Since the things were which we saw was difficult to perform and was time consuming. So technology has invented some new machines that reduces man efforts. Let's see some machines. The most used grinding machine in our country is flour mill. There are around 812 flour mill in our country. The wheat it is used to make parotha, puri, etc. The wheat is first cleaned to remove foreign particles and dust. The tempered wheat is crushed between break rolls. The power required flour mill is 300 HP. I also visited idli batter shop to see their grinding machine. The idli batter is the mixture of rice and pulses. Here I am crushing some groundnuts in a mixer. Now groundnuts are crushed properly. See. In this food processor, we can cut all types of vegetable with the help of this plate. Now I am making the cave part. Making the cave part where men are sitting. Now I'm making the hut. Evolution in shelter. Long ago, around 12,000 years ago, the earth had frozen mountains and continents. This was a time known as Ice Age. The early human beings that lived at this time were nomadic hunters. They had to protect themselves from a lot of difficulties like cold, wind, air, and even dangerous animals. They need a safe place to live, so they found natural caves. Eventually, about 4,000 years later, they had figured out how to agriculture. So they need a safe place to live near the crops. So they had found huts. They start building huts, and as the time changed, technology started improving and the type of houses started improving, and it brings us to the type of house that we have today in the world, made up of cement, brick, steel and glass.
Revolution in kitchen appliances, especially in the grinding machine. So let me take you to the journey of grinding tools from past to present. As we all know, in very early days, we humans used to stay in caves and eat raw food. But gradually, we started to live in man-made homes and eat cooked food by using a fire. We use inventions in every aspect of life. Because of that, it's changed our lifestyle. So, in ancient time, they used these tools of stone. As you can see, it's just a flat rock here, but after that, this one is a little bit more complex because of its shape. It's a pot. And this one is a flat rock, which means it can spill if we crush the spices. But in this one, it's a bit compact. Because of that, it won't spill out. Next, we come to metal. So we built this metal one because if we give a hard impact on the rock, it could break. But it is a hard chance to break on metal. And it's a bit more complex to build a metal pestle because we have to first melt it and then give it the shape. After that, we come to the electronic machines. As you can see, it's just a basic. You can only blend or grind with this. But in this one, it has more feature. So, in this, you can chop, you can cut, you can make juice and you can also grind some stuff. So, these tools is not only used for grinding. These are also used for pestering some medicines with the help of the medicinal plants. So, there are also big ones made of wood. We crush a large amount of spices in it. So, as things became more easy, they also became more easy to use and time saving. As earlier, you can see they are very tiring and time consuming, but with the help of the technology, our work became more efficient and time saving. So, because of that, we can improve our productivity.
Evolution of cookware. Let's begin. Evolution of cookware started when humans first discovered fire, from sticks, stones to modern utensils. Early tools used for primitive cooking were stones. Have a look at the Stone Age cookware. Stone Age cookwares were used for grinding. Later came earthen cookware. Earthen cookware kept food ash free and could be placed on heat. Earthen cookware was the first step of evolution of cookware. Water filled in the pots keeps it cool for a long time. As we move further, we can see metal cookware. It includes metals such as copper, bronze, aluminium, etc. Copper was the first metal used by man. Iron cookware were the cheaper version of steel. Look at this iron cookware. People have experimented over the years with different materials such as stone, stainless steel, glass, aluminium and etc. Of all of the varieties, metal, iron and copper have entered the marketplace. Stainless steel is the favorite cookware material. It is famous because of its shine and its non-reactive acidic to food. Non-stick cookware has become quite popular now. We can see most of these cookware in our household. These are the some of the evolution of